So meet Mr. Wenga Ezekoni. Mr. Wenga Ezekoni is a highly skilled training development specialist. He's motivated about providing leadership for complex sustainable development challenges, helping to connect dots and create values, and he's a creative thinker. He's a mentor, coach, and enabler. His purpose in life is to help people and organizations unlock their potentials. Just like a waterfall, being gas life flows in sequential progress, nourishing others as it flows along, producing vegetation and cooling effects. Welcome, Mr. Winga. I'm excited to have you in today's training session. You can unmute yourself now and speak.
Okay, yeah. So thank you for having me, Sean, and everyone. Good afternoon. So we're just going to go straight into business. So we're able to cover a lot of ground and all of that. So please feel free to, if you have questions along the line, just drop your comment in the chat box. And I'm also planning to interact with us a lot on our portal, our training portal. So like our training for today centered on conflict management. So I'm going to take the first part of it. Then Rachel comes to talk with us on difficult conversation. I'm so happy that she's taking that, because if there's one thing that makes conflict management very difficult is how we manage difficult people or even having some kind of conversation. And we're also going to see that part of it here might also be because of our conflict style. So for the conflict inventory that will give us, so don't worry, we're going to have a conversation around it here. You're going to submit it to me here live. So I'm going to tell you what you're going to do with that inventory that you feed. So without much ado, I think we should just go straight into our conversation. So, just a sec. So the purpose for our conversation this afternoon is just to arm you with the necessary tool for you to be able to handle personal and organizational conflict. I know when we're talking about conflict, I want you don't start thinking of the terrorist attack in Maiduguri or the conflict in the Middle East. I want you to begin to think about yourself even first, about how do you manage your day-to-day conflict. So that's what we talked about, personal conflict and organizational conflict. Because sometimes or most times it's this failure to handle personal conflict or organizational conflict that leads to the bigger conflict in the community. And like a lot of us here, and I don't want to even say a lot of us, it's expected that everyone on this call, you're working to become better leaders, either better leaders politically or what. So please, if you have any question, just put your questions in the comment box. I see Bashir's hand is still up. Maybe it's the former one, or he's asking a new question. So maybe he has not been able to bring down the former hand that was up. So, but please, if you have any question at this time, just put it in the chat box. But you have room and time to be able to speak and share. So the goal is just to arm us with the tool to manage your personal conflict and organizational conflict. So if I may ask, once you hear the word conflict, what comes to your mind? Just use the chat box, because I know a lot of us have network issues. So if your network is if you are struggling with your network, you can just off your video for now, so that you can go along. When it's time to use the video, I'll ask you to put up your video again. So if you hear the word conflict, what comes to mind? Just put it in the chat box, one word. When you hear conflict, if I say like 2 to 3, 5 or 10 people, then I will continue. Just take a minute, put in the chat box. If you hear the word conflict, what comes to mind? Disagreement, yes. Okay, we have from Leadtots again, disagreement. Yeah, let's keep having. Somebody say fight. Michael, yeah, thank you, Michael. Joshua said misunderstanding between parties.
Sorry, Mr. Giga.
Yeah.
Well, I want to just give this announcement briefly. Kindly use your original name. Do not change your name to Leadtots on the Zoom platform. Use your original name.
So I was thinking, thank you for catching that. I thought it was you that even posted that. So clash of interest, disagreement, misunderstanding that leads to fight. Somebody say grudges, crisis, unrest, a serious disagreement, typically protracted one, angry argument. Yeah. So if struggle or an opposition. So we can see a lot of self-centeredness, incompatible, lack of understanding. Hopefully, I'm not giving them the handout, show. Okay, not yet. Okay, insatiability. So now, okay, variance. Okay, I think variance, disagreement, conflict is clash of interest. The basis of conflict may be various part of society. So if I may ask a question, you can unmute to say something. Now, looking at everything we have all shared, having different view of perspective, a couple of us, all of the words you've seen, are those positive or negative words? Those words we've dropped on the, so anybody can just mute, because misunderstanding, fighting, conflict, disagreement. Yeah, somebody said negative, 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 negative. Okay, so I'll come back to all of those words we've dropped in the box, because we've talked, and a lot of us, we've rightly identified that when you hear the word conflict, the first thing that comes to your mind, somebody say both. When you say both, what does it mean? That person can unmute themselves and speak. The person that said both. Your name is Road Leadtots, so I can't really call your name. They're all negative. Well, yes, thank you, Joshua. Abdul Malik, negative. Yeah. So, Sean, can you identify that person that said both? The person said Leadtop. I just want to hear, why did you say both? When you mean both, do you mean all of them, or do you mean both negative and positive?
Right.
Yeah, Matthew, you said both. Is somebody speaking? Matthew, when you say both, what do you mean? I just want to hear contribution from the two people that said both. I'll come back to the guys that said negative. Don't worry. Pick some selection there, yeah.
Okay, good day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say both in the sense that it can be negative and also it can be positive. We do have disagreement for positive change, and also we have also disagreement that will lead to negative change. So it differs, because when all those words being stated in the chat room, they can be either positive or they can be either negative. But it depends on which aspect is resulting to.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So what's your name?
Matthew David.
Okay, Matthew David. Thank you, Matthew David. And thank everyone for what you've shared. But let's look at this definition. I'll come back to what Matthew David and every one of you have shared in the group. So conflict is a strong disagreement based on a perceived incompatibility in needs or interests among individual, groups, community, or country. So if you see, a lot of you talked about the word disagreement, and a lot of you mentioned about that it's about being a disagreement between two parties. But when you hear the word perceived incompatibility, what does it mean? Okay, Rosemary from Gombe, you're the one using Leadtop. Okay, thank you, Rosemary. Somebody say absolutely negative. Okay, we'll come back to that. We'll hear from Baba Mohammed Isa. So when you hear the word incompatibility in needs, what does it mean? Anyone, you can unmute yourself and speak. I know Zoom, a lot of us are getting used to Zoom and all of that. Yeah.
Okay, they can't automatically unblock themselves
Okay,
or mute
okay.
themselves,
Or
but they can raise their hands up,
okay.
then I will unmute them.
Okay, who wants to share? When you hear something is incompatible or perceived, most especially the word perceive. The word perceive, what does it mean to you? Anyone that wants to share, please raise your hand so we can call you. Matthew, no, Matthew, let's take someone else, then we'll invite you. Thank you for volunteering, Matthew. I appreciate that. I think somebody else's hand is optional. I don't know the name, it's not showing. I have 3 hands up, so just take.
Yeah. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I can hear you.
Yeah. Incompatibility to me, I think is two different perspectives that are not in alignment, and they don't want to be in alignment. That's
okay, they don't want to be in alignment. What of perceive? Do you want to share on the word perceive?
Perceived. Yeah, I think is something that is not real, factual.
Okay, yeah, it might not be factual. Okay, let's take a female voice. Just one more female voice, then we'll move on. 2 things didn't match. Yes, thank you, Mohammed Hassan. Shion, just take, if there's a lady among the hands up, just pick one for us.
Okay, Rosemary, unmute yourself and speak. Okay, I can see. I'll just skip her. I heard it's Sanusi Mato.
Assumption, yes. Thank you, Javin. Something not confirmed yet. Yeah.
Yes, Sanusi.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, all.
Yeah, good afternoon, Sanusi.
Yes, sir. When we say incompatibility, I see it in the way that something that cannot reconcile to our own views. So we see it as incompatible, maybe to our culture, traditions, or beliefs that we already built in. So it's incompatible to our own existing
Mm-hmm.
views. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, like we've all shared. Thank you, everyone, that your hand is up. Though we can't take
Yes,
everyone.
sir.
You've all
Yes,
you've
sir.
all said the right thing. Becoming aware or unconscious of something. When so our definition say that conflict is just a strong disagreement based on perceived. And like the first speaker said, when you perceive something, it might not be real. It might not be real. So when we say it's perceived, it might not be a reality. But it's always most times it's about the issue of needs or interest among individual. It could be group, it could be community, it could be even among countries. So that's conflict. It's about strong disagreement. And a lot of you totally agree with it by using the word strong disagreement. So I come back to my former question that I was asking, that is conflict positive or negative? So a lot of us, it's not native, that is autocorrect. So it's not the word native, it's negative. So is conflict positive or negative? And a lot of us says it's negative. And somebody says it can either be positive or negative. So if you look back to our definition, when you say something is strong, and no, I think is it Matthew or one of you said sometimes something good comes out from what? Conflict. When there's a strong disagreement, when two of us have conversation or we move and we're able to resolve it, we might come out with positive result. So now if something is neither positive or negative, or if it's both, what word do we use for that? What word do we use for the term, for those of us that are in mathematics or in physics or not, when something is and not positive and it's not negative, what does that mean? Yeah, what term do we use for that? Neutral. Yes, Javelin, neutral. So conflict, the term conflict is not positive, it's neither positive or negative. So we're going to see that by the time we go. Yeah, neutral. Yeah, thank you, Rachel. Thank you. Not defined. Balance equation. Yes. Some people are beginning to take us into physics and mathematics here. So let's not go into physics and math and chemistry and scare those that are not doing physics and math. So the term conflict in itself, most times when you hear conflict, what comes to your mind is about the fight, the crisis, the killing. But we're saying this afternoon that the term conflict itself is neutral. It depends on your own reaction to it, how you perceive it. Remember, we use the word perceive, disagreement. Your reaction to a conversation, how you respond. So if you respond in a negative way, then at that point you say conflict has produced a negative result. If you see conflict as something that has a positive outcome, for example, with your colleagues, as young leaders in the community, as young people that have come to this event. So one thing that is, as someone said, equilibrium. Yeah, so it's neutral. So what the skills we're trying to imbibe in you from every session you've been learning is for you to begin to approach disagreement with others. It's for you to begin to approach issues. People that have different, I think Mohammed or the last speaker talked about, sorry, I'm trying to grasp all of your names. So if I give someone's name a different name, please pardon me. So the last speaker, the last young man that spoke, talked about that when you have different view about people in your community or ideology. Yeah. So we're beginning to say that the way you respond to that different view, you should respond. If you respond in a positive way, you get a positive outcome. If you respond in a negative way, you get a negative outcome. So conflict itself, it's not the one that is negative. Conflict itself is not the one that is positive, but the way you respond to it. So, and for us for me as an individual, and for the organization and for Leadtots, by bringing us together, equipping us with a lot of these various skills, Leadtots is saying that you should begin to see conflict as things that you can learn from, as things that you can resolve. So, and as young leaders, that will either become politicians or business leaders or even community leaders or even president or of establishment, if you begin to see conflict as an opportunity to find a long-lasting solution, then you are heading towards the right direction. So the concept of conflict itself, if there's anything you pick away from this conversation this afternoon, is that the concept of conflict itself is neutral. Conflict is neither positive or negative, but the way you respond to it. But we're encouraging you, and one of the skills we're going to be equipping you this afternoon, both in my session and in Rachel's session, is for you to be able to respond to conflict in a positive way, to come out with positive outcome, to choose to respond in a positive way and equip you with skills that can always make you come out with positive outcome in all of the disagreement or conflict situation you will find yourself in life. Is there any question at this time? Is there any question? Okay, don't worry, we'll still have room for. So if there's no question, we're going to move into our exercise. Can you all put on your videos, get your papers, your A4 papers, drop everything you're holding, just get your A4 paper. So you're going to do something for me. I'm going to read out and some instruction. So what you're going to do is that, can everybody raise up your A4 so that we can see? Your A4 papers, let's have it handy. Can I see your A4 papers? Just show it to me. Yeah, that's good. So now you're going to need your two hands to do that. So if we all have our A4 papers, now all you have to do, just you listen to me. You don't ask me any question. Just do what you understand based on the instruction of what I'm going to ask you to do. I wish you can sit down, but if you feel comfortable standing doing it and you can still hear me fine, you can do the exercise standing, you can do it sitting. So can we all close our eyes? Just close your eyes while holding your paper. Close your eye while holding your paper. So just listen to me and follow the instruction.
You can put on your video so that we can.
Yes, everybody put on your videos. Yeah. So by the time, so can you close your eyes? So fold your paper in half. Fold your paper in half. The paper you are holding, fold it in half. Your eyes closed. The first instruction is fold your paper in half. I hope we have all done that. So the second instruction, fold the paper in half again. Remember, the first instruction is that you fold your paper in half. So fold it in half the second time. Your eyes still closed. Now, tear off, remove. That's what I'm doing now. Tear off the bottom right corner. Tear off the bottom right corner. Remember, the first instruction was that you fold your paper in half. The second instruction, I say you should fold the paper in half again. Then the third instruction is that you tear off the bottom right corner of your paper. Tear it off. Then the fourth instruction, turn the paper upside down. Turn the paper upside down. So the last instruction, tear off the bottom right corner. Tear off the bottom right corner. So open your eyes. Open your eyes. We can all open our eyes. Open your paper. And let's see all our paper on the screen. Show your paper to the screen. Open your paper like the A4. Open it. Yeah, can you show your paper so that we can all see? Yeah, I'm looking at people's paper. So take a run. As I'm looking at your paper, be looking at the paper of every of your colleagues. Look at your own paper. Some people are not raising their paper. Some people are still doing it. No, time up already. Yes, look at other people. Look at their papers. Look at yours. Look around. Just look around. So what can you notice? What can you notice? Let's take one or two people you can speak. Raise your hand. Let's see. What can you notice? Now that you have looked around at every other person's paper and looking at your own. Yes. Alaji Sanusi Mato. Yeah. Let's take Alaji. Let's hear from him.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So what can you see?
A majority have teared the middle of their papers. There is a hole in the middle.
Okay, but that means we also have people that don't have holes in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So where's your own hole in your own paper?
My own, the holes in both angles and one in the middle.
Okay, so how do you feel when you saw that your paper looked different from others? You can take somebody else. There's another hand up.
I feel like I'm wrong.
Okay, you feel like that you're wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Alaji Mato. Next, shows there's some other hands up. I can't see their name. You can also help me call them out.
Isa, you can speak now.
Yeah, Isa.
Well, I can see different styles while following the same.
Okay, do anyone think they have done? Okay, Elijah said he did his own wrong. He feels he has done the wrong thing. So who else felt that way when you saw other people and their paper? Who else felt, oh, maybe have done what was not correct? When you saw the papers, who else felt they have done? Yes, I can see Suleiman Zainab. Her hand is up. Can we take Suleiman Zainab?
Okay, Zainab, unmute yourself. Zainab, you can unmute yourself and speak. Okay.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. So, do you feel you're wrong?
Yes, sir. I think I was wrong because I have 2 holes on my paper. So I think I was wrong with what I did.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Zainab. Thank you, Zainab.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So now my question will be, who think they are right? Who think they are right, that they did the right thing? Who is confident that, yes, I did the right thing? Shion, can you help me call one? I think some hands are up, so they are confident that they did the right thing. Yeah.
Okay, some of the hands have been up earlier.
Oh, okay.
Edmond, can you speak?
No, sir. I wanted to say I was absolutely wrong because initially I was I was contemplating. Was it okay? The bottom corner, you know. So initially I now went to the middle and cut on paper. So when I now got the instruction, I discovered it's the wrong thing. So I was totally wrong.
Okay. Okay. So how can I know? How could there be so many interpretations when I gave everyone the same instruction? So why do we have different shape of papers? Some have even 7 holes, some have 2 holes, some have 3, some have 4. So how could we have different interpretation of the same instruction? What happened? Matthew? Yeah.
Okay. What happened? What really happened there is that is the way we perceive things, the way you perceive yours, and the way you interpret yours differs. That's what affects us. Why we got the same information but different result, because everyone receive his own based on his own reasoning, the way he reasoned it and the way he understood. So I think it's the understanding and the way of personality that is the conception, personal. This idea that result to different answers or different solutions.
Yeah. So thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Godfrey. Thank you, everyone. So there's no right or wrong way of doing this exercise. What just happened now is that we all responded to this exercise based on our understanding, based on our interpretation, based on the way we perceive the instruction. So now let me ask a question. So now let's assume that the way you understood this instruction is the way you handle your opinion in life. What does this exercise teach you about perspective? What have you learned about the issue of having different perspective? Remember, we said the definition of conflict, we said is perceived misunderstanding. And I gave an assignment and I gave the same instruction to everyone, but we all came out with different results. We have some that are similar, we have some that are different. So what does this exercise teach you about perspective in life? What have you learned about perspective? Yes, anyone, you can speak. Yes, Abdul Malik, Isa? Yes, you can off your video now, but I will call you later on to bring out on your video and everybody put your paper so we can take a clip shot of our beautiful cut-out paper. So Abdul Malik, go ahead, you can speak.
Yes, I think for me, as I understood the issue is having different perspective from others will not make you feel discouraged or feel unattached from the society. So whenever you have different perspective about something, which maybe the majority of the people have different perspective from your own, should not make you feel discouraged because you may be right and they may be wrong.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Abdul Malik. Let's take Pascali. Thank you, Rosemary. Always learn to view things differently. What I learned is that we should respect other people's view. Thank you, Matthew. Yes, Pascali, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah, like the other colleague rightly said, it depends on how you understand it and when you feel you have from a different perspective with the others. It doesn't make you. It makes you feel whether you're right. It doesn't make you feel whether you're right or wrong. But let it just be. That's your own perspective. So sometimes you need to like go for a resolution and then agree on one thing. Thank you.
So thank you, Pascali. It's very important that we view this exercise, this paper folding exercise has shown us that people have different opinion. I know a lot of you were quick to condemn yourself. You say, oh, I was wrong. I didn't do it right. No, you didn't do it wrong. You only interpreted the information based on your understanding. Because for everybody, it also depends on how you are holding the paper. For some persons, they might be holding the paper like this. Some, they might be holding the papers like this. So it depends on your position at that time or how you view things. And so when you begin to see and listen to others, first, you know that it's the same instruction, but the way you understood it was different. The way you were holding your paper when you folded it in half will also give us different directions. So it's very, very important that you begin to look at things differently from different perspectives. And you can learn also from people that have different view from you. So it's so very important. So thank you everyone for participating in that exercise of paper folding. Just for us to bring home the reason why there are always different view. Sometimes you don't think you are wrong. And for some of you too, you always condemn yourself. Oh, my idea is not useful. If I say it, they will not listen to me. But no, you have to share it. You have to also know that your view counts, but you also need to count that the view of other people can. So can we up on our video, put our paper up so that Shion can take Bashi, is that a question? Bashi, do you have a question? Yeah, so can we all put up our paper? Shion, have you taken the picture or you're okay with what you have now?
I will have to, can you stop your screen sharing for a while?
Okay, so you can see. Okay, I can come back. Okay, take your picture. So can we all bring back our papers so Shion can get this quickly? We do that. Yeah, on your videos and raise up your paper. Let's do that in 1 second, please. Yeah.
Okay.
So
yes,
put your paper in your front. You can put it in your front and also use to, yeah, like hold it like that in beautiful different way. Yeah.
Okay.
Rosemary, your own paper even turned into 2. Rosemary's papers went into 2.
Okay, I think I'm done. You can go
ahead. Done. Mohammed, I can see it. Okay, let me reshare back my screen. Bashi, do you have a question? Your hand is still up, or is it the former hand that is up? Yeah, you can off your videos if the network is slow for you. Just listen in.
Bashi, you can speak up.
I think it's the former one. Okay. Bashi? Okay.
I guess it's network is poor.
Yeah. So let's continue. Yes, we've done that. We've had our discussion. So the conflict style. Can you all please bring your conflict inventory, the assignment that you did, have it handy with you on your table. So can you get your notebook? So now you remember we've talked about that we all have different perspective in life. We all have different view. And also for every time we have conflict, we have disagreement, each of us have a way we respond to them. So number one key to managing conflict is for you to identify your conflict management style. And when we say conflict management style, it doesn't really mean that is the way you respond always. But most times, 80 out of 100, when you are in a dispute, when you're in a conflict, you have a way you respond. So this exercise this afternoon is to help you. Because number one way for you to be able to manage conflict is first to know how you respond to conflict. So when you know how you respond to conflict, then you know the best style to use. So there are about there are a couple of conflict management style that research has brought to that every human being on earth either respond primarily using one of those conflict style. So this afternoon we're going to help you facilitate knowing your conflict style, and that's why you had that inventory that you do. So if you have your inventory with you, I want you to get a sheet of paper in front of you first. What you're going to do is just draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. You know, you have 30. There were 30 questions that I gave us. So draw 5 columns on your paper, on your notebook that you've been using for this conference. So write competing, collaborating, compromising, avoiding, and accommodating. For those that might be watching us live, because you don't have the conflict inventory, you didn't do it with us, we can always give you the link to go back and do it yourself. So I'm giving you a minute to do that. Once you've done it, you can wave, you can use any of the chat sign to let us know. So just draw 5 columns, write competing, collaborating, compromising, avoiding, and accommodating. So I'll give you 2 minutes to do that. When you're done, give me a sign, say done. Don't write anything yet. Those, I will tell you what those A, B in it mean, because you will not have all of them on your own. So we'll do that based on the assignment that you have done already. Done. Thank you, Mohammed. Let's do that quickly. We have 2 minutes more. Basically, what you just need is at the top of the paper in your book, just write. So when majority are done, I'll proceed. Just write competing, collaborating, compromising, avoiding, and accommodating. Maybe to help those watching, I might just read out the question that we used. It can also help them to. So now you can get your assignment that you have done. So for those of us in your assignment, we gave you some questions to cycle. So you either cycle A or B. And so first, I need to give out a disclaimer that there's no right or wrong answers in that assignment that you did, but you have to choose one. You have to have one choice that you have chosen from it. So it's just a self-assessment to help you discover your conflict management style. So the first question, question 1, if you cycled A as your choice, go under avoiding and write A. You should go under avoiding and write A. But if you cycled B, you should go under accommodating and write the letter B. Remember that you cannot have the 2 on your own sheet. I'm the only one that is permitted to have 2 on my sheet here because I facilitated the process for you. So if your answer was A, go and write A under avoiding. If your answer was B, you do that. So you can repeat that for every other. So question 2, if you cycled B as your answer, go under B and cycle B. Go under A. If your answer was A, go under compromising. You can just follow what we have on the screen. So I've done the 30 of them for you. So question 3, if your answer was A, put your A under competing. If your answer was B, if you cycled B, you cannot cycle 2. I repeat again. Remember, but for each question, you cannot cycle both A and B. So it's either you have cycled A, or you have cycled B. And remember, there's no right or wrong answer. Choose the one that is close. Even if you respond most times using those 2, choose the one that is much more higher. So, for example, like question 3 say, I know what I want and I go for it. The B said, I sometimes aim to make the other person feel better in order to end a conflict. So if that's how you reply, you can only cycle B. So you come and put your B under accommodating. So question 4, if your answer was A, put it under compromising. If your answer was B, like that. Let's move quickly so we'll be able to run through. Question 5, Sam, if you cycled A was your answer, you should have your A under collaborating. That means in the remaining distance, you should not have anything written down. Question 6, if your answer was B, put your B here. Then you don't need to have anything here. But if you chose A, put the A under avoiding. Same thing for 7. If your B was your answer, then you should be under compromising. You should not have anything. Same thing we are in question 8. This 9, 10. Question 10. If you chose A, put it under competing and all of that. Question 11. If you chose B as your answer, you should put the B under accommodating. If you chose A as your answer, you put A under collaborating. Remember, you can only choose one. You can't choose both of them. 12. Yeah, Abdul Malik. Yeah, where are you lost? Come back. Unmute yourself and speak, Abdul Malik. Yes, we're waiting for you, Abdul Malik.
The problem is that the sheet we are having is in our phone, and we're having this screen as a guide.
I don't know. You can just listen to me. So if you follow the first thing, the first instruction I've told you, right? If you write competing, collaborating, compromising, avoiding, and accommodating on your paper, forget about the screen. Just listen to listen to my voice and follow. So you can go back to your I'll go back to question. I'll go back to the first slide again. So I'm back to the first slide. So now, if you have written that down, you can go away from the screen so that you can use your phone if you have answered it on your phone already. So what I'm saying is that, for example, I'm starting from 1 again. I will run through. If you chose A, go and write A under avoiding. That is the only thing you will write there, because you cannot choose B. But any person that chose B as their answer, go and put the B under accommodating. Is that clear, Abdul Malik? Then question 2. If your answer was B, the B should be under collaborating. If your answer was A, it should be under compromising. The question was sent to everybody. I don't know who asked the this thing. So you can take the question later. The question was shared with everybody. So for question 3, if you chose A as your answer, the A should be under competing. If you chose B as your answer, put your B under accommodating. For question 4, if you chose A as your answer, put it under compromising. If you chose B as your answer, put it under accommodating. For question 5, if you chose A as your answer, put it under collaborating. If you chose B as your answer, put it under avoiding. Question 6, if your B was your answer, your B should be under competing. If A was your answer, you should have the A under avoiding. For question 7, if B was your answer, your B should be under compromising. If A was your answer, put it under avoiding. For question 8, if you chose A as your answer, put the A under so you can have the question later on, and somebody you can do it, but just follow Mohammed Hassan. Just listen to how you do it, so that by the time you have the paper, you can do it later on your own. So if A was your answer for question 8, it should be under competing. If B was your this thing, if B was your answer, you should put it under collaborating. Yeah, I think Shion will send the question to those that have not accessed it later on, but I think it was emailed to everyone last night. So for question 9, if A was your answer, put your A under avoiding. If B was your own answer, your B should be under competing. For question 10, if A was your answer, you should put your A under competing. If B was your answer, the B should be under compromising. So I move to 11. So the same thing, if A was your answer, have your A under collaborating. If you chose B as your answer, your B should be under accommodating. If A was your answer, A should be under collaborating. If for question 12, if you circled A as your answer, put your A under avoiding. If you are the one that circled B as your answer, put the B under compromising. For question 13, if A was your answer, put it under compromising. If B was your answer, put it under competing. Question 14, if A was your answer, put it under collaborating. If B was your answer, put it under competing. For question 15, if A was your answer, you should put it under accommodating. Then if B was your answer, you put it under competing. For question 17, sorry for that person experiencing fire outbreak. For if 17, if A was your answer, it should be under competing. If B was your answer, you should put it under avoiding. For question 18, if you circled A as your answer, put the A under accommodating. If you circled B as your answer, put it under compromising. For question 19, if you chose A as your answer, put it under you should put it under A. So remember, you're only choosing one, you're not choosing two. So if your own answer was B, you should put it under avoiding. Question 20, if A was your answer, the A should be under collaborating. If you are the one that chose B, put it under this. So the last 10 question, I'll leave it also here. Just look at it, the same thing. Then we're now going to total according to our distance. So for question 21, if you chose A as your answer, put the A under accommodating. For question, if B, it should be under collaborating. 22, if A was your answer, it should be under collaborating, then B under avoiding. 24, you can say there, A should be under accommodating. If you chose B as your answer, put it under compromising. 25, if A was your answer, put it under competing. If B was your own answer, put it under accommodating. Question 26, if compromising, if A was your answer, you put it under compromising. If B was what you chose, put it under collaborating. So question 27, if A was what you responded to, put it under avoiding. If B was your own answer, the B should be under accommodating. For question 28, if A was your answer, put it under competing. If B was your answer, put it under collaborating. Question 29, if A was your answer, put it under compromising. If B was your answer, put it under avoiding. So the last question, if A was your answer, put it under accommodating. If B was your answer, put it under collaborating. So what you're going to do, for those of us that are done totally, don't worry, others, we can always help you out in the discussion forum or on the forum later on. So if what you're going to do now, total the alphabet that you have in each of your columns. So start from question 1 till now. So total the number of alphabet you have here, write the number here. So it could be that there are 10, it could be 8, you write 8 here. Go under collaborating, total the number of alphabet you have, put it here. Go under compromising, total the number of alphabet you have, put it here. Under avoiding, total the number of alphabet you have, put it here. Under accommodating, total the number of alphabet you have, put it there. So if you calculate like this and all of that, your answer needs to equal 30. If you score more than 30, then you've not done it very well. So go back, you total from here to down the number of alphabet you have, total from here, number of alphabet. You know that you cannot have 2. Like for question 1, you cannot cycle both A and B. You should only have 1. The same thing for question 2. So if anyone is done, let me know. Once we have 5, 7 people done, we'll go to the next. You just listen to the process. You can go ahead later on and do it. I know it usually takes time to do it, but just understand the process, then you can do it.
Can you go to the next slide, sir?
Sure.
Go to the next slide. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Uma, are you done? Or is a question? Once you're done totaling, let me know. You cannot say, I am done totaling in the chat box. Let me be the chat box and see what you're doing. Okay, Uma, you're done. Okay. Emmanuel, you're done. Remember, like we said, it's done. Rosemary is done. I'll go back again to the first slide. I'm not reading it. I just want to tell you what you do. Once you have these 5, once you have the 5 written, the 5 conflict style that we have universally. So you already have some questions that's with you. If you cycle A, if A was what you cycled, you should put the A under avoiding. If it was B that you cycle, you put the B. But in each question, you cannot have A and B. You either choose the one. So if I were you, I can take the picture of this scoring sheet, and I can do it later on. For those of us that have not finished, you can do it later on. So remember that your total answer must be 30 because it's 30 questions. So for those of you that have highest under competing, what it means is that when you're in a conflict, the number 1 style that you use to respond is competing. If collaborating was your highest number, that you have the highest number, it means you like collaborating. If compromising was the highest, that means that is your primary way you respond to conflict. Yes, some Grace has accommodating. So it means that's your primary style. Sometimes some people have 2 highest number in 2 places, and as you also grow as a leader, sometimes it's difficult to even have highest in one of them. You move around. And so we will need to also throw out the caveat that there's no right style here and there's no best conflict style. It just means you respond to conflict. It just means that you respond to conflict primarily that way. So as leaders, so what we are advocating or what we are proposing to you this afternoon is that you need to know all of these styles. You need to know your primary styles, but we're going to tell you how best you can use them. Because as leaders, you are not supposed to be stuck with your primary style, because sometimes you need to use different styles depending on what happened. For example, if you are an avoider, as a leader, you cannot keep avoiding things for your life. You cannot keep avoiding conflict all your life. You need to find a way to respond. So, but are there times that avoiding as a style is important? Yes, absolutely. So we're going to talk about how these styles are applied. So I'm going to give a minute for everybody to just look at it. Look at the style. Yes, you can keep dropping your conflict style, the one you have highest, the first and the second one highest in your group. So these are the five conflict styles that we have. It's avoiding, accommodating, competing, compromising, or problem solving. So if you look at here, it's called collaborating.
Collaborating.
Yes, it's used interchangeably. So it's either you call it problem solving or collaborating. Thank you, Sean. So it's used interchangeably. So if you see it in some literature, they call it this thing. But for me, I always like calling it problem solving, because you're working together with other people to be able to find this. And remember, don't hide. You know, a lot of people, when they see that avoiding is the highest, they don't want to share. And that's why I said there's no right or wrong style. It just means that is how you primarily respond. So we're going to have a conversation around how does this style apply. So one thing you need to know is that most times people use each of these styles depending on the outcome they are looking for, or how you value the relationship with the person you are in conflict with. So the importance of outcome and relationship always determine what style you use. So we all have dominant style, like I've said, but most times what happens is, for a lot of us and for what we're advocating, is that you need to always check what is the outcome. And I know when you go through the Rachel's session later on, when she's talking about even having difficult conversation, there's also going to be an issue around outcome and relationship. How do you value the relationship? How do you value an outcome? And how do you count the cost in terms of having difficult conversation? So now let's look at it in practice. So I'm going to invite. So once something is important to you, you have the outcome. You know, this is a, here means it's high, here means it's high, here means it's low, here means it's the middle. So once the outcome of a situation is important to you over the relationship, what style do you think the people will use? For people that everything about life is about the outcome, it's about the result, they don't care about anything, what style do you think they'll use? Yes, please go ahead. Just unmute yourself. Asia Abubakar. Asia Abubakar, you can speak. Asia, your hand was up. Or you can drop it in the chat box. Once the outcome is important to you over the relationship, what style do you think the person will use? If you're in a situation and you need to find result quickly, what style should the person use? Quickly, people, are you with me? Somebody said, Javin said, use compromise. Yeah. Remember, competing. Yes, Grace Abubakar said competing. Yeah. So yeah, Grace is absolutely right. Once the outcome is important to you, you compete. You compete. So people that always want to win, always competing. But remember, I also said the what do you call it? The condition matters. Each styles are important. Sometimes there's a time for competing, and there's also time that you don't need to compete. So for example, let's say we are all in the same room now and there's a fire outbreak, and Sean is our leader. Sean wants us to leave the room. It's not that time that Sean will start talking about, guys, let's come together, let's see how we'll do. Sean is going to send everybody out at once. Why? Because there's an emergency. But Sean primarily style might be accommodating, but at that particular time there's a danger. Sean has to send people out. So at that particular time, using the completing style is important. So when the outcome is high and you're low on relationship, you compete. He wants result at that time. She wants result. But if you're here on the call and your primary style is competing, then you need to also watch out. You don't know that if you compete a lot every time, you don't have a lot of friends, or sometimes you don't even solve the problem. So you need to know Do I always want to win an argument? Do I always want to win in a conversation? When you're with your friends, when you're people, do you always want to win? Then you might need to know, how do I learn other conflict style that will help me to be able to do that. So the next question will be that when the outcome does not concern you, you are low on the outcome, and you care about the relationship. You want the relationship to be highest. What kind of style do you use? What style? You can drop it in the box. What do you think the style the person will use? Avoiding, accommodating. Yeah, I think the Precious says avoiding. Yes. You avoid. You avoid. Avoiding. Don't worry, when you get the handout later on, it's going to explain more to you. I know we don't have a lot of time. Yes, Margaret Maxwell. You avoid. You avoid. You don't want trouble. I know there are a lot of people here every time. No, me, I don't want trouble. Me, I don't want trouble. But as a leader, if your primary style of responding to conflict is avoiding, then you need to work on it. Because if you avoid a lot, then you don't get things done, and you delay, you procrastinate. And sometimes things get bad before you respond. Or sometimes people take advantage of you. Pausa, is there a question? Pause, do you have a question? If you have a question, you can drop it in the chat box. So we'll come back to take it.
Drop in the chat box.
Yes. So if you have a question, yes, avoiding. So, but it's important that if you are here as a leader, please don't always avoid. Avoiding has its place. There's sometimes you avoid. But what makes you a good leader is to know when to avoid. But if your primary style is always to avoid conflict, you don't speak out, you don't do anything. And that's unfortunately, that's what we have in our society. It doesn't concern me. I won't say anything. And look at what it has brought us to. It doesn't concern me. Look at where we are now as a society. So you don't need to avoid. You need to speak out. So once you have that you are high on the importance, and maybe you're having like a middle ground of both importance and outcome. What style do you think you use? You can drop it in the chat box. You care about the outcome and you care about the relationship. You accommodate, okay. Joyce said accommodate. Godfrey said collaborating. Yeah, let me see if I can see one more. Problem solving. Mohammed Hassan, is there a question or you want to compromising? Accommodating. So you are high on relationship. Sorry, maybe my question wasn't that very clear. You are high on relationship, but you are low on the outcome. You care about the relationship. You don't want to lose your friend. You accommodate at that time. You accommodate. So is there a question from Mohammed Adamu? Mohammed, is there a question? If it's a question, please go ahead. Okay, since he's not speaking, I don't think it's a question. So when you are high on relationship and you are low on outcome, you accommodate. And it's important. It also has its place. But you also need to know when to accommodate or when not to accommodate. So I'll give you time when you go to the handout, you do that. So like the other one we're talking, which was the answer, you compromise when it's a 50-50. And if you want high outcome and high relationship, is the last one already. You all know what the one will be, is the problem solving. Ideally, in an ideal situation, problem solving is what is encouraged. Problem solving, but it has its own advantage and disadvantage. It's time consuming, it takes resources, and so sometimes it gives, this problem solving gives a 50-50 solution. Not beyond 50-50 solution. What I mean 50-50 is even, yes, 50-50, but here it gives a last longing solution. So I should not use a percentage here. It makes you to find solution that is by the both parties and it lasts long. But sometimes people avoid problem solving because it takes time. You have to do a lot of that. So, but the ideal situation we are pushing that is either you are compromising or collaborating. Either you are compromising, a 50-50 meet on the neutral ground, or you try to collaborate to find solutions. So as leaders, and I think that's what Leadtots will want of us, is that we should go towards the point that we begin to collaborate to solve our community problems, begin to collaborate to solve issues around us. So like I've said, none of this style, there's nothing wrong with any of them. They're all important. They're all good style. But as a leader, you must know the 5 style so that you know when to accommodate, you know when to compromise, you know when to avoid, you know when to compete. But if your primary style is avoiding, you need to start pushing towards maybe trying to start compromising, accommodating, and but competing also has its place. But if you always compete, then you'll not be a good and effective leader. No matter we're preaching about servant leadership, I know whoever might have spoke to you about leadership has talked about the kind of leadership that Leadtots is pushing for, the leadership that serves the community, the leadership that takes everybody along. Is serving leaders, not the self-serving leaders that we have in our society, that we want to turn things around. We want leaders that are sacrificial, that have integrity. And so if you want to have the one that have integrity, you should not compete always. But when we say competing is wrong, no. It only means that when anything happens, that is how you respond. Is there any question? Because I think that's where we're going to pause. I'm going to give you some after session assignment that you do, that you'll be able to know. So when you get the handout on this session, it will tell you more on the 5 conflict style. I don't know if anybody has any question on the conflict style. Remember that the one you score the highest is your primary response way, but it's not bad. What we're telling you to do is to work on it and try to know the 5. So as leader, you need to know how to use these 5 conflict style. And the more you grow your emotional intelligence, you grow how to use your social media, technology, all of what you have covered in this, and what Rachel is also going to be taken after now. You apply all of these conflict style. They are very, very important. You need to know when to use them, and you need to know when to apply them. Is there any question? If there's no question, this is the after session reflection. So this is what we're going to do. So you're going to go to the forum. You're going to post response to any of these questions. So you can take any of the question here. So it's either you take the first question, go to there. I want you to have a conversation from it that how might what you have learned in this course impact how you manage conflict now. So before coming to this class, there's a way you manage conflict, even before knowing your conflict style. Or for those of you that know it before now and you're reminded, after now that you have learned this, everything you have learned from this session, that you also even still learn from Richard's session, and Richard will also give you our own assignment. So how might what you have learned help you manage conflict now as a leader? Or you can take the second question. What is a perspective, concept, or discussion around conflict management style you find challenging? What do you find challenging about the conversation we've had? Then the next one, there are 2 questions to do. I want you to read what other people have shared. You're going to go what to other of your colleagues have shared. Then you're going to post a reply to another participant whose comment you find interesting. Anyone that you find interesting, you do it. So you see this on your page, you respond to it. So here, you take one and discuss it on that page, on that forum. I will come in and I will interact with each of your contribution. I might ask you further questions. I might interact with you. Then the second one, you read your other colleagues' response, either 1 or 2. You can do more than 1. The more you find interesting, engage with them and have conversation with them on their group. So any question for me as I wrap up and take a bow to, I'll come back again after Richard's session for us to continue our conversation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Venga. We really appreciate that. Was a very excellent presentation. Also, I enjoyed the way all the participants, all the students participated. Well done. Okay, because of time, we're going to call forth Mrs. Rachel Simon Karu to take over. If you have questions, just keep them. Mr. Gwenga is going to be back after this session to conclude his presentation. And if you have any other thing you want to also talk about, you can write them so I don't forget them. Thank you very much, Mr. Gwenga.
Yeah, see you guys in a bit. See you later. Yeah. I'll hang around and hear a little bit of while I walk. I'll be listening to Richard too. So I'm here.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Hello, Miss Rachel.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Benga, it's nice seeing you after a long while.
We'll fight after now, don't worry.
Yes, I think there's a lot of fighting to do because I have seen signs that we are going to fight. I hope the audience will be the ref. Our participants, don't worry, we'll find the most appropriate.
We'll fight in private.
We'll look for the best conflict
most
style.
appropriate style to use to do this fighting. But
Okay, I'll accommodate you. I'll accommodate you, don't worry.
Okay, glad to have you, ma'am.
Yeah, nice to see you, Sheun. Thank you for the opportunity. I guess I have 40 minutes, you said?
Yes. You do. I'm coming. Just a second.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, everyone, permit me to welcome Mrs. Rachel Simon Karu to take the second session in the Conflict Management Certificate Training of the Youth Civic Engagement Program. Mrs. Rachel Simon Karu, formerly called Rachel Debal, is a social worker who is married with 3 children. She possesses certificates in various online courses and short physical trainings. She is the president of Leadtots Development Initiative and a lecturer of sociology at the Department of Sociology, Gombe State University, Gombe. And academic and practical areas of interest are child welfare and families, community development, conflict and peace building, and gerontology. Rachel is a member of the International Federation of Social Workers and a regular member of the International Sociological Association. She's a fellow and trainer of the Generation Change Program of the United States Institute of Peace, USIP, the beneficiary of scholarships from the Nigerian Women Association of Georgia, USA, and of the Female Support Initiative, a partnership project by the UniJust Carnegie, New York. She is part of boards of development organizations, notably Relief Initiative for Humanitarian Aid, RIHA, focusing on women and girls. The Mandate Health Empowerment Initiative, working to improve mental health in Nigeria, and Leadtots Development Initiative, focusing on leadership and youth development. Most of her spare time in the evenings or weekends is taken up by interactions with family and close friends, or doing activities that she finds enjoyable, such as traveling and mentoring, rock climbing, writing, listening to music, reading, riding bicycle, and utilizing social media. Rachel has traveled far and wide and does everything to give children and youth, particularly those of Nigerian descent, a sense of purpose and hope, and to create opportunities that give good prospects to decent potentials. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome my president in Youth Talks Development Initiative, who is the chief host of the Youth Civic Engagement Program, Mrs. Rachel Debal Simon Kari. Welcome, ma'am.
When did you become an MC? It looks like you do a lot of projection. So thank you for that. I will not take too much time. I would quickly go into action so that I'll maximize time. I don't know, can you see my screen?
Can you go on slideshow?
Yes, so let's do it. Share from beginning.
From beginning.
Okay, no, I just what do you see, Sheun?
Okay, we're seeing introduction to conflict
an
analysis.
Iceberg.
You see 2 things?
An iceberg.
Okay, no, we're seeing an
iceberg, right? Yes, exactly. That's what I want to project.
Okay. So you can just go on the from current slideshow. You see something like from current slide?
Okay.
Yes. Yep. You can click on it.
All right, thank you for that. So I hope I get to see responses easily. I'll try and not get totally distracted by what I'm saying. So Benga has done a very interesting part of this conversation on conflict management. He has given you power to yourselves individually. You now know, or you now understand how you as a person has the tendencies that you have when it comes to managing conflicts or resolving conflict situations. I want you to just have this information at the back of your mind as you listen to us all through the conflict sessions. The fact that there is something about the iceberg. it's not a very common culture around here, but then on the sea, wherever the captain of a ship sees this thing on top. Okay, how do I point? Okay, let me see. Remote control, right? Shown. Okay. Okay, can you can see this, I guess?
Yes.
Okay, so my icon, that's what I mean.
As your mouse, yeah, we can see your mouse moving.
Okay, beautiful, thank you. So whenever the captain of the ship sees this, this is what is called the tip of the iceberg. It is showing here, then there is all around it water. Look at the level of the water here. This is what he sees from a distance, and every other person who views from on top of the water, this is what they see. But the captain knows more than anybody else because of the stories in the past and other experiences of people. I think that's what happened during the what's the name of that movie? Very popular love movie that caused Titanic, that caused the ship to capsize. If the captain sees this, he knows that the turn he's going to make is not going to be from here. It is not going to be from here. Neither is it going to be from here. He has to start from somewhere far away, because this is only the pointer that there is something huge underneath. So also in conflict, when you see, okay, let me give you a very live example. In 1994, there was a crisis in Ghana. Let me leave Nigeria first for the meantime. There was a crisis in Ghana. This crisis started in a market. You know how it started? It started with a conflict over chicken. That chicken conflict caused the killing of people, burning of houses and other properties. But we know that it wasn't only the chicken. Chicken was the tip of the iceberg. So the larger part or the remote issue was different. During the resolving of such conflict or managing such conflict, the mediators or facilitators would have to find the best way to dig out that remote issue that is causing the larger problem. Now, we go to what I'm going to do mainly today. So I just want you to have that information at the back of your mind as we talk about conflict. There is always a larger issue. So I have been introduced. Okay. So can we see the new one now?
Yes.
Yes, we can see.
Thank you. So like Benga has highlighted during his session, we're going to focus on dealing with difficult conversation. This would also have a build-up after my session. Benga is going to talk about communications in conflict, and that is also a very, very important part of it. I am very sure he's going to highlight the issues of what do you call it? What do you call it? Benga.
Hello, what's that? Active listening or?
Active listening, thank you. So he will highlight the aspect of active listening, and that is very key when it comes to conflict, managing conflict. We have to focus on that as leaders, because we will be doing a lot of that. What to note about conflict? We must understand that you as leader, me as leader, we deal with conflict situations every day, at least once in a day, whether internal, that's intra, or interpersonal, between me and the group, between me and an individual. You know, as a leader, you are confronted with this daily. And that is why it is very important we understand how to manage it. Now, they can be healthy and generative. I keep saying every day that there is no way we can run from conflict. What is very important for us is to focus on the positive side, or the generative or the healthy side of conflict. If you are going to interact with people, you cannot live without conflict. You must be confronted with this. But your attitude to conflict is what makes it positive or negative. Conflicts, they will definitely come. Your attitude is what changes the entire game, making it positive or negative. Now, if you have a positive attitude, of course, you expect that the outcome will be positive. We should always remember that conflicts come to build us and not to tear us apart. The more we encounter conflict over time, the better we get to understand ourselves, and the even better we are able to live with ourselves and even achieve our goal. Now, an important thing we must know is that we must have difficult conversations. You will understand what I mean very soon. Difficult conversations are here to stay. Like they say, COVID is here to stay, right? Difficult conversations are here to stay. And it is very important we tell ourselves, brace up and be ready to have these conversations, no matter how embarrassing, how dangerous they appear. And even it doesn't matter how much you fear them, just face it. Because if you don't fight it today, you will live to fight another day. So why not just fight it today and get done with it? We must, as I said earlier, approach them productively. Have a positive attitude. Think about the good that can come out of this conflict. Don't think about the situation or the individual involved. That is not as material as the outcome of this conflict. Method of dealing with difficult conversations. You must decide if the conversation is worth having. Take a look at the situation. Is it worth having? What makes it worth having? Is it something we should talk about, or something I can just accommodate and let it go? You know? Then you must complete a risk and reward chart for having the conversation. I'm going to show you the chart right after this. In making this decision, you must deeply analyze and make clear for yourself what the risks are, the risks that are involved in having this conversation, what is at stake. And then side by side, what will I gain at the end of this conversation, or at the end of having this conversation? What would the positive outcome be? And then thirdly, you must assess the risks and reward if you do not engage in the conversation. So you must also check, if I choose to just accommodate and let it go and not have this conversation, what are the risks? What is at stake, and what are the rewards? What are the benefits for me and even the partner involved, or the person involved, or the group involved? Now, this is the chart, the risks and rewards chart. You must remember to differentiate between real danger and fear, because sometimes it is out of fear we feel something is going to be very dangerous. You must be able to demarcate what is danger here. Danger has to do with life and death, right? It has to do with the body, you know? But then fear is just a feeling that might turn out not even be real. Now, there are sometimes I sit down and then maybe because I care about my children, then I begin to imagine, what if, I know for my second child, there was when he was in reception class before he entered nursery, I was just at home and then I was like, what if there is a minor accident and then Amam is involved? What am I going to do? Do you know, by the time he returned that day, he had an injury on his finger. In trying to take them to the restroom, I think he slid his hand on at the door, and then the teacher didn't know, so she locked the finger and the nail was affected. So it was, I know it sprang from fear that I don't really want anything. I don't want to hear any negative story. I don't want to go and see that my child is not in good condition. That at the end of the day, when the teacher told me his finger was injured, I was like, phew. I just kept quiet. I tried to be calm though, to understand what exactly happened. When I came home, it wasn't something I found funny at all. So out of fear, we might choose not to engage in a conversation that is difficult. But then fear is not our friend. We must differentiate between danger and then fear. Then calculate the risks for you as an individual. If I'm having this conversation, what is at stake for me? What do I risk here? We're going to do a typical example so that it helps us understand this entire technique. Then the next thing you must do, what are the risks for me? What are the rewards for me? If I engage in it, okay, this teacher might just think that I am too focused on my child and I don't care whatever it is she's up to. And then on the other hand, it will help me, the reward is that it will help me understand what exactly happened to Amram. And then I will get to know whether the teacher is actually dangerous. She's the one who did not really care for him well enough to avoid that accident. And then I'll be able to relate with her even better, probably even give her some suggestions about how to handle Amram, Then the next step is for your relationship, you and then the group or the person involved in this conflict. What are the risks if you have this difficult conversation? And then if you choose not to have, what are the possible rewards? The risk in terms of your friendship, in terms of probably something you're gaining, something that has been positive in that relationship. And then rewards, is it going to strengthen it? Is it going to destroy it? Is it going to give me back my friend or take away my friend from me? Then another level is you check the risks and rewards for your organization or the group you're involved with. If I choose to have this conversation, what are the risks for my group, for my organization? What are the rewards for my organization, the positive outcome? Check, we didn't say what is going to be negative or what is going to be positive. We said the risks, because you don't know yet how the outcome is going to look like. That is why we must eliminate fear. So look at it as you're risking something and you don't necessarily know the outcome. But if you decide to engage in the difficult conversation, there are possible rewards, and those ones can be identified. They can be clearer, but then even clearer at the end of it all. Now, how to engage? If you choose to engage in the difficult conversation, there are two options for you. You must engage. That's the first option. You must engage in an authentic dialogue. What do I mean? You must listen actively with your body, your spirit, and your soul, everything. Just focus on the person. Have a neutral mindset as much as possible. We're human beings and we tend to have, our own form of sentiments. But then it's important you disabuse your mind from such sentiments as much as possible. Try and be objective and then engage in it in an authentic manner. You must be clear, you must be focused, focus on the issue and not the person and not any other thing. No, it is the issue that matters. Okay, I hear that somebody just came and told me that they said that I am the one who caused problem between the youth group in the student union leaders and the students in the school. My focus will not be who said that, who was it that brought this information, where did they get it, who told them. That's our tendency as human beings. We want to know who is it. We want to know his intention. Politics, right? We want to know his intention. What is his interest? But as a good manager of conflicts, as a good leader, my focus should be on, okay, so what is the problem between the student union officials and the students in the school? Okay, they were having an election and then it turned out violent. Okay, so what exactly made this issue, the elections, to turn violent? No, it's one girl that came. She just carried, they said she's in so department doing this and that. It is not her that we're focusing on now. We're focusing on why she did what she did, because that is the main issue. So fighting during elections is the tip of the iceberg. Elections, we just think it's elections. No, but then there are underlying issues that cause the fight. So we must ensure that we engage in authentic dialogue, focus on the meat, the real issues, rather than the peripheral ones that will not lead us anywhere, that might even escalate the conflict. And then again, option 2, if you choose to engage in this difficult conversation, engage in option 1, that is, engage in authentic dialogue, not debate. We might not have so much time to bring out all of these issues, myself and Benga, but then we've tried to draw what we think will be very beneficial for you as a leader in this program. So there's a difference between dialogue and debate. Debate, somebody has to win, but in a dialogue, you're trying to find the real issue and deal with the issue as it is. So as a leader, you are not interested in a debate. No. It is win-win. That's what you're interested in. Your opponent win, you win too. And that is why we're focusing on dialogue. Now, When you choose to engage in part 1, engaging in authentic dialogue, you must also remember that you would use a neutral, objective third party. The two of you doing it alone is not enough. You need somebody outside the group, somebody outside all of you that are involved in the situation, because you know, somebody standing outside can see better than you that is inside. You that is inside only sees what you see inside. But from outside, the person from outside sees you, sees the other party, sees what is behind, on the side, in front, all around. So that's why the third party, who is supposed to be neutral, objective as much as possible, should be involved. That person will be called the mediator, the facilitator, or the witness of this conversation. Those things you can't see, the person will see. So remember, the person must be neutral. Then, on the other hand, if you choose not to have the conversation at all, you look at it and you think it's not worthy of having, this conversation is not worthy of having, there are 3 options for you. 1, de-invest relationship. Lower your expectations and make the best of the current situation. Don't expect too much from that relationship. When I say relationship, I don't mean boy-girl relationship only. There is that one. There is also you and your group that you're leading. There's also you, your group, and the other group, you know, within that environment, different levels of relationship. So you must invest, reduce expectation, and don't give too much. Then the second thing you must also do, the second option you must also do, that's option 4 in general, would be to restructure the relationship. How do you restructure the relationship? You must minimize the need for interaction and interdependence. If you used to go to that meeting every week, and then this thing happened, you must reduce the rate at which you go, because you are not going to have the conversation. So reduce the rate at which you go, or not even, or maybe over time you stop even going completely. Just for peace, that's what we're talking about. We're focusing on how peace can reign, you know. Then the third option, which is the 5th overall option, is to make a choice to leave if the situation is bad enough and change is impossible. If you look at it, it's not something you can contain, you can't accommodate it, and you can't discuss it, the best thing you do is to leave. Leave the situation. Leave that environment as much as you can to ensure that peace is maintained. What is important is for us to ensure that there is change when there is a conflict. Change for the better and not for the worse. So if change for the better is not possible, then you have to withdraw, make a choice to just get away from that situation or leave the place. Now, how can we engage in a difficult conversation? I'd like you to respond. This is the time I'd like to hear from all of you now. Oops. Are we there? So,
yes, sir, yes.
We can make this interactive, right? This is my board.
Okay, they are muted. But anyone that wants to speak, we will give them opportunity to speak.
Can they write? Okay, they might not be able to write.
No, they can write. They can write.
They should write on my screen.
Yes.
If it
already
doesn't.
Doing that?
Okay, on the, is it on the chat room?
On the chat room, yes, sir. On the chat room.
Oh, okay. I was thinking they can write on my screen. Okay, where is my chat room? Okay.
So anyone who wants to say something can raise his hands up, and then others can also put their thoughts in the chat room.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
I can see a hand up.
Those of you that can write on the screen, you can go ahead and write on the screen.
Okay, I'm trying to get people's hands up. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Somebody, Rosemary said that I would like to know the full story. What's the problem? I like that.
Okay, Samson is up. Samson, over to you.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Ma, for this amazing presentation. For me, if I find myself in a difficult situation, in order for me to engage, I would like to know the root cause of the problem. And then I'll also choose the method or the method of conflict management to use in order to come up with solution to tackle that problem.
Okay. So he would like to find out. Thank you. What's your name again?
Samson Kifas from
Okay,
Gombe.
Samson. Thank you, Samson. He will find out the root cause of the problem. Okay, thank you for that input. Javan is saying, I tend to accommodate if, okay, Javan is telling us about their tendency, their response to conflict, the way they respond. To accommodate if need be, compromise his stand if it doesn't work, he avoids it, okay? Then Suleiman Zainab said, okay, Zainab didn't say anything really concerning our question, but then let's see, Mustafa Bashir. First and foremost, I would like the root cause of the problem so that to know where to start, okay, and address the problem. Okay. Okay, Rosemary also added that she would like to hear the story from both sides before thinking of possible solution. Okay, I like that. Okay, Geoffrey Sally said, I'll ask myself if it's really a problem first, then it's worth discussing, whether or not it's worth discussing. I hope that's what you mean. Zainab said, I will tackle. So we have plenty going on now. Okay. Okay, sympathies. Eric, I'll first ask both sides the cause, okay? Precious, Dari, I usually express myself, address the problems the way it is and tackle the root cause, okay? Joshua Madi, listen attentively to the full episode of the problem first before taking any necessary action to tackle the problem. All right, thank you for your input. as we pay attention or as we elicit to find out what the problem is, we must also, you know, you don't have the whole day. You don't have the entire time, and everybody has a different approach when it comes to narrating an incident. Somebody would start from the history. So before you get to hear what really happened, it is at the end of the story when you have even forgotten you were trying to find out what happened. So people have different ways of presenting issues. So you must also, you know, try to find a way you can bring the person to what you really want to hear. Yes, they were coming from and they took which path. Okay, when they took and they got there, you know, I understand what you're saying. But when they took that path and went round and got, at the end of the day, they got themselves at the election venue. What happened there? The officials sat and they brought the boxes. Yes, after they brought the boxes, at what point did the fight begin? You know, you try to bring the person to the situation so that you help them give you the information that you need. I do not know if Benga highlighted those, but I would like to highlight this part. That's the issue of how you can bring forth information and understand the entire issues. Let me see, I think I have it on the other slide that I can quickly share. Okay. Okay. Okay, the 5 W's. Who is involved in the problem or in the conflict? What is the issue? Where did it happen? When did it happen? And why did it happen? This is not part of the slide I'll be forwarding, but I just think this is going to be very important when it comes to managing conflict situations. So using this will help guide you to exactly where you want to go to be able to solve the problem as a leader or help solve the problem as a leader. Who is involved? Who are the stakeholders? The key people, those interested that you can't see, those you can see. Then you have what is the issue? What really is the case? And then where did it happen? Location, right? When did it happen? Time, day, year, date, you know? And then why did it happen? This is the remote cause. That's how you find the remote cause. Okay, I'll go back to my main screen. Okay. All right. Now, we must remember this, that in communication, even though I know Benga is going to do a lot of that, in communication, the percentage of what impacts, what makes a difference when you relate with others as a leader, you must remember that words, people are impacted by only 7% of your word. Prepare an entire book as your speech and come and be saying. You start saying and you lose them at some point. Maybe they just hear your first line, which is probably the introduction, and that's it. Somebody is just there to hear what is your opinion. Just that straight, you know, at the point, hit the nail on the head. That's once you hit that nail, you lose that person from that point. So the words that you say, the words that you speak, it is only 7% that make an impact on the people. Secondly, your tone. You bring people's attention. You hear when you see me express something like that, you know that something is wrong. No, there's a crisis here, and you would want to find out. So your tone, 38% of conversation, people are impacted by your tone, by up to 38%. Then the non-verbal, what do you do with your hands? You're telling them, run, 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 and you're standing. Somebody does not even hear the run. They will just stand the way you're standing. And then you're saying, run, 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 you're standing. They're standing too. They're not hearing you, they're only seeing you. So a large percentage of, what do they call it? Impact is made by non-verbal, the gestures that you make. You're saying, I really like you, you're a nice person, That person is not even hearing what you're saying. The words will not make a difference as much as this one does. Have you seen people on the road trying to move and then somebody makes a bad move and they try to get to that person and say something? The person is not even here. But the one that does like this, that's the one that makes the next person pull over and then they begin to take on a fight. So the non-verbal, the one you do not use words and your tone, your voice is not heard, 55% impact on the other party. So if you're trying to resolve a conflict, you must show, I said, not say, show that you are an objective person, that you're here to listen attentively, not, okay, this is my phone in my hand, right? Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Yes, I heard you say that earlier. That person would think, hello? Hello?
I'm up.
Did you lose me?
No, I'm actually trying to tell you about time.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm almost rounding up. So don't worry. Thank you. So the person is looking at what you're doing. And in my mind, I'm saying it. This person is not even serious. That's how I'll say it. This person is not even serious, because you will not get to understand, or you will not get to give an impact that is worthwhile at the end of the day. Now, there's a scenario I would like you to listen to, and then I'll ask you questions and hear how you would respond. We're going to do just a short exercise, and then I'll let you go. So just pay attention. It's my voice recording. I did it as slow as possible. I would love to hear your responses to this. If it's not going to be too noisy, I love verbal responses.
Rachel, we can hear. Stop
You can't?
Yeah. People are not hearing this. Maybe you didn't share your sound.
Okay, the sound is also supposed to be shared.
If you do it that way, it goes faster. So that in that share place.
Okay, let me quickly. Oh, yeah, share sound. I see. Thank you, Benga. She has very widget. Okay. The scenario. Can you hear now?
Yes.
You are a manager of a widget company. Your division in the company is made up of the scenario. The scenario. You are a manager of a widget company. Your division in the company is made up of 50 people. You do sales, marketing, and new product development. It has generally been a tight-knit, friendly, and high-performance place to work. You recently hired a new employee. She or he has been hitting all their performance goals. They come in to work always on time or slightly early. You have noticed that they are often on their own. Today, you were in the break room. Normally, there are several people in the room, often having a collegial discussion. Today, there is only one person, your new employee. As you pass close to her or him, you notice that he or she has very strong body odor. All right, Shaun, can we allow responses, verbal responses? I'll prefer. Okay, I think I saw a few names that I can call. Bashir Mustafa. Bashir.
Hello, ma.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was calling Bashir, but I think he disappeared. Okay, he's actually off and on.
Okay, Bashir is muted.
Okay, I wanted him to respond.
Yes, I'm looking for his name. I'm only seeing Abdul Malik Issa's hand.
Okay, Abdul Malik Issa, to
Yes.
allow him to talk then.
Okay, so Issa, you can talk now. Issa, unmute yourself.
Issa.
Issa is not available. He can't unmute himself to talk.
Okay. Emmanuel Daniel.
Okay, I can't see his hand up.
Yes, I wanted him to just respond to a question.
Okay. Emmanuel, can you unmute yourself now? Yes, over to you, Emmanuel.
Emmanuel.
He's unmuted, but
he's not responding. Diamin Umar.
Pardon?
Biamin Umar. All right. If anybody is attentive and can unmute themselves, I want to hear how you feel about the scenario that I just narrated.
Okay. Uma, can you speak now?
Any other person that is listening to us, I just want to hear your feeling about the scenario that we just heard. We just listened to.
Okay, Isa, your network is a problem I have, Isa. I'm sorry. Yes, okay. I can see Binyamino Umar. Yes, unmute yourself, Binyamino. Unmute yourself and talk. Don't unmute yourself, it will not automatically unmute. Okay. I think they are finding difficult to.
So nobody is available to talk?
Yes, their network is a
Hello.
Hi, who is there?
Baba Isa, I told you the network is a challenge. Okay, Jamila Bello, can you unmute yourself now and speak?
So Richie,
Okay.
I was thinking like, can we upload the scenario on the platform and keep this question for them to interact with it? But it looks like something that is good. So drop the scenario on the platform, they listen to it, and there's a question on your next page.
Discuss.
They can discuss it. Yeah, it's a very good tool for.
Since our time is even gone, so I would we'll drop it and then I would hear response. We'll see responses from that. I think that would be. Thank you, Benga, for that suggestion.
Okay, it's okay, ma. Thank you so much, ma.
You're welcome. So I think that is it for me. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome, ma. Thank you so much, Ms. Rachel, for that participatory presentation. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's take the last session quickly. And Mr. Winger is going to be as brief as possible. So I hope we all pay attention. Mr. Winger, over to you, sir.
Yeah, so please, we're going to that. Thank you, Rachel, for that. So she's laid a groundwork already for me because I need to run for another meeting at 2:25. So I'm going to be fast and I'm not going to waste a lot of our time. But we'll have that conversation on that audio that Rachel played. Please listen to it on the group. We'll both interact with you on the pages of the group and we have a conversation. So now we're talking about empathic listening. Now, Richard mentioned a lot of stuff. So, and I'm serious when I say we're going to come to your group pages to have conversation with you. So you need to be serious. That's how we're going to grade you in terms of your participation in the course. So now talking about empathic listening and how you engage your community through conversation, active conversation. So the purpose of this session is just to build up on that. It's for us to give you as young leaders, building relationship require a proactive posture and requires both a desire and a willingness to know your community. You need to know their experiences and you need to also know their concern. So this exercise that we're doing now is going just to be inviting you to use your communication skills in terms of delivering on your goal and whatever you want to do with in your community. So there are 5 communication skills. I'm not going to be speaking on all of them. Rachel has talked on a couple of them. You have the slide. I think you're going to have access to the slide later on. So don't worry about that. So what we're driving at is for you to be able to build communication skills. So there are 5 of them. The non-verbal communication, she mentioned a little bit of it. we encourage in this program, we're encouraging you to become someone that use a dialogic approach instead of debate. So I would also be encouraging you to use asking question. Skills a lot because it's important you know how to ask questions, active listening, then empathic listening. But this for the next 20 minutes, I'll be laying more emphasis on active listening technique. So like when in terms of communication, so looking at the non-verbals, Rachel has already given you answers to that. That in every communication, most times our non-verbal communication is very, very important and it's very, very key. And so in communication, the verbal aspect of it, remember Rachel told us it's 7% in every communication that you have. 7%. As I'm talking to you now, you're looking at my eyes, you're looking at how I'm demonstrating, how I'm doing. In every message I'm passing to you now, it takes 7%. For body language, it takes 55% of your communication. Your tone is just 38%. So what is important is the two that has the highest score, the body language and your tone. You need to put more work as a leader. As a leader, you need to ensure, how do you raise your tone? Do you shout on people? So you need to know to use the right tone. Not just even about leadership, even as a human being, your personal development. You don't need to scream on people. You don't need to shout on them. You need to learn to speak gently and quietly. Then your body language, you need to, you do not say, oh, I'm happy, while you're like this. Ah, Benga, how are you? Ah, I'm happy. I'm happy. Remember now, my tone is sounding, I'm happy. For you are looking at me, my body language is not showing that I'm happy. So it's important, you need to ensure that your body language passes the right information. So that is about the non-verbal. So in terms of dialogic versus debate, please, you need to know first that there is nothing wrong with debate. You do debate in school, you do everything, you have conversation. But we said for a person, in every conversation you have, don't make it a debate. You know, in debate, you debate to win. When somebody is communicating with you, you are listening to them in a debate to punch hole in their conversation. But you don't want to do that. And the same thing, like the session Richard just ended with us, he talked about, but yeah, body language is 55%. So for Richard talked about that, it's important you know the intent. So we're encouraging that in debate, you are listening to punch hole. But while you use the logical approach, you are listening to know, to learn. You want to build your knowledge. You also want to know the intent, and you don't blame. Why in debate, you are blaming. You say, my opponent just said, why there's first scarcity? You blah, 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 blah. You are blaming your opponent. But if you use a dialogical approach in communication, you are sharing the blame with the person. And like the example Richard talked about in terms of resolving conflict, you're looking for a mutual way to share the blame. You're not blaming one person. So it's important that if there's anything you learn from this session, is that we're encouraging you, we're inviting you to begin to use dialogic approach. Who is the person writing on our screen? So asking questions. It's also important. One of the skills you need to grow as a leader is your ability to ask questions. Somebody said they can't hear. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear
okay,
you.
yes, I think it's from that person. Yeah. So in asking questions, if there's any skill you need to grow as a young person, it's your ability to ask questions. You think asking questions is very simple, but no, it's not simple. It's a skill that you need to grow. You need to build because you need to know the purpose of your question. Why are you asking a question? Once you know the purpose of your question, you get the right answer. Then you also need to avoid a closed question where necessary. For example, if you want to know in this place, if you can, like just like I asked a question, are you hearing me? So the answer might either be yes or no, or yes, we are hearing you, no, we are not hearing you. But if I want to hear more, I can reframe the question. Okay, to invite you to share the more. For example, if you ask that, yeah, if you are tired, if you hear that, oh, are you tired? You can either say yes or no. Or but I might invite you to further to say, oh, should we go on a break? Sometimes we ask, oh, should we go on a break? It might also be that is a leading question. I'm trying to lead you on because I'm tired. I also want to go on break. But there are questions that will invite you to. If I said, are you enjoying this session? You might also say yes or no. But if I really want to know if you're enjoying the session, I might not ask, what are you enjoying about this session? Then what have I done? I've invited you to share. So as much as possible, you need to always use the question that invites people to share. Then, like I said, avoid the why question. It's not that using the word why is wrong. But as much as possible, don't use why always, because when you use why stands confrontational. It makes people to rebel. It makes people to push against your question. But if you use why in terms of a different, in terms of maybe describing an object and all of that, it doesn't cause trouble. But if I confront you now, when she will say, oh, Benga, your time is remaining 20 minutes, and say, she why? Why? Now, she will not even feel happy that the way I confront them and say, why? Why is it remaining? Because he has told me already I have maybe 10, 5, 15 minutes, but I could have had a better way to do that. So in your conversation, as a person, try to avoid using why. Why sounds confrontational. Also avoid asking leading questions. So you should use more of the open question, the open-ended question. Invite people to share. Invite people to share. Use the what, the how kind of question. So it's important to build your skills around asking questions. Then for active listening, which we said is what we'll be paying close attention with, is that first, when you are listening actively, what you do is that you encourage people to speak. You say when somebody's talking, so, oh, can you say more? What do you mean? But I can hear you clear. Do you mean this though? You encourage people to speak. You elicit. Eliciting means you are asking more. Can you say more? You can nod. You can use your body language that we're talking here to encourage somebody to speak. You can elicit, you say, but can you say more? Then learn to practice how to restate so that there's no confusion. You can say, Ashen, what I hear you're saying is that we have a hard stop at 2:30. Then if Sean is not saying that we need to stop at 2:30, Sean will say, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we should try to stop at. So you try to restate. Then also try to clarify, which is what also Rachel mentioned a little bit of it in conflict management. When you learn to clarify issue, you're able to get a clear answer. You don't get ambiguous things. You don't have your own assumption. Every one of us has biases as a human being. You have your bias. Sometimes when you're listening to someone, you begin to bring your bias into the conversation. So, but when you ask, you clarify so that you don't leave the place asking. When you get a handout, it's going to say a lot to the communication. The empathizing. Please try to empathize with people. Empathizing does not mean you're supporting, especially if you're a mediator or you're a negotiator or you're trying to resolve people issue. When you're empathizing, does not mean you are taking side. Empathizing can mean that you're inviting, you're just showing that, yes, I hear you, I feel you, I hear what you're saying, but you're not taking side. You can't say you're empathizing when somebody's talking to you, you are busy looking at your phone or you feel distracted. That is not empathizing. It shows you are with them. You pay close attention at that particular place. Then also learn to summarize conversation. Learn to summarize conversation and also learn to reframe. So we're going to do a lot of this thing using our exercise on the group. So I can take a lot of questions in that place. Then there's the empathic listening, which I'm going to pay some close attention to that. So when we talk about empathic listening, we talk active listening, but we want to go beyond active listening. We want to go to empathic listening. So in empathic listening, we're talking about the issue of perception equals to filtration. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time for me to engage us and ask us various questions, but I'll try to quickly explain this to you. So in every communication or in the human communication, by science and by research, it shows that there are 4 realms. Not just by science, but by reality, it shows that there are 4 realms of human experience. We have the mental realm, the emotional realm, the physical realm, and the behavioral realm. So the first 3 realms of communication, the mental, the emotional, and the physical, is called the inner soup. And I will explain that now. Most times when people communicate with you, when you're talking with people, who is painting our screen, when you're talking with people, what you see is behavioral. People's response, that's what you see. That's what you can see, and that's what you can hear. But most times, these 3 realms, there's the inner soup. How many of you know how we make soup? At least all of us, we have tried to make soup one way or the other. Especially if those of you that are students here, or even if those of you that live at home, that your cook followed you to school and was still cooking for you. You have stood in the kitchen to watch your cook or to watch your parent cook. So, you put the pot on the fire. Either you start with water, you start with the oil, you start with any of the ingredients, you gather them together. By the time you make your meal cooker, or you make your stew, you make everything, in that stew or in that meal cooker, there's a lot of ingredient in it. And so that's why it's called the inner soup. So it's saying that for every time somebody is communicating with you, even as I'm communicating with you now, I have an inner soup. There's something that's going on in my mental realm, in my emotional realm, and in my physical realm. So, like, for example, in my mental realm now, I have a presentation at 2:30, and I need to be there online at 2:25. So I'm already thinking in my head, how will I make it? So there's something going but you don't know. So also have my emotion that, okay, I've traveled, I've been away, maybe away from my family for a long time. I've not seen my family maybe for a month now. Yeah, it's even more than a month. Yeah, I've not seen them. So I have my emotion going, and physically here, I have, let's say maybe my hand have an injury and it's paining me. You might not know. But what you are seeing is that you are seeing me moving, seeing my mouth shaking, you're seeing my behavior. So for me to show empathy, for you to show empathy as a leader, or even as a human being to your fellow people, is that anytime you are having a communication with anyone, know that that person has an inner soup. There's something that's going on in their mind. So you need to show some kindness, show some love. Don't judge them just based on their behavior. Give them room for opportunity to explain themselves. For example, if you have a worker or a colleague at work, that something is happening, and so you need to be careful. You need to show them some love. You need to know what is going on in their mind. So if there's any practice you need to take from this conversation, is understanding inner soul. And every time you are having a conversation with someone, there's what is called the inner soul. How do you, and for you too, you're the speaker, for you too, also the one that is communicating, you also need to know how to manage your inner soul. It is very, very important. Know that at every time there's emotional fight going on, there's also the physical condition. Maybe the room is hot, maybe it's very cold that day. So anytime you're having conversation with your colleague or somebody, confess, give them the benefit of that. Don't judge them. Oh, why is she behaving like that? Why is she screaming in the market? Why is she shouting? Why is he doing that to me? You're only seeing that behavior, but you don't know the physical condition. Sometimes even at work now, maybe your colleague, a lady, a female colleague, she's acting weird. But maybe she's going through, she's having a menstrual period at that time and it's painful. It's coming with a lot of pain and you're already judging her. Look at her and she's doing like this. She's bending. So mentally at that point, she's not with you and she's trying. So you need to give that person the benefit of that. For the person even showing up to work and the person even trying to still do their assignment, it means they care. It could be somebody just lost their parents or their uncle or their friends and they still show up to work or they still show up to support you. The least you can do is not to judge them based on their behavior. Take time to find out what is their inner soul. And for you too, that you want to have a presentation, like me now, like I just told you, what is the inner soul that I'm having? I'm managing my inner soul by trying that no matter the time limitation that I have this afternoon, I'm going to still give you the best. I'm going to still give you the best of what you can learn and go. So for you to show empathy or to become empathic listener, you must understand the concept of inner soul. You know, I can speak a lot about it. We can do a lot of assignments. If we're in the same room, can give us different assignments that will help us even understand it deeper. But what I want us to know is that anytime you see people communicating, anytime you see people having conversation with you, know that they have enough soup. But what makes you a good leader is your ability to control your inner soup, moderate it and speak, or your ability to also control your inner soup and listen to someone. Because if you don't control your inner soup, you will not listen very well. You miss some critical point. Even as a student, you are in class, you are hungry. The lecturer does not know that you are hungry. That's a physical condition, and it has both physical, emotional, and mental issue. But they are seeing your behavior that you are sleeping or you are lying down, you are doing different things. So please, henceforth, if you leave this room, if you leave this place or this conversation, know that you need to understand people's inner soup. Inner soup is very, very important. If you begin to manage your inner soup very well, then you'll be able to know how to engage with people. So now I will invite you to go to your page after now. So what you're going to do in the next 24 hours, we want to practice the active listening. So Sean, I will invite you to share the handout on active listening with them. The handout on this empathic listening with them so they can see the content on active listening. Study it very well. Then you will look for any of the two people listed in this 5 category. Look for any two people here and have a conversation with them 10 to 15 minutes. So after each conversation, you will take a note. I will give you the question you use for the conversation. So you either look for a teacher, maybe one of your lecturer, or you look for your fellow student, but you cannot look for 2 teachers. You cannot look for 2 students. Either one teacher, one student. You look for a caterer in your somebody that sells a restaurant or anything, or a janitor or a security officer. You can expand the list, but at least you can use from these 5, but you can use any more. Just 2 of them are different between now and the next 24 hours. Now is 2:30, so between now and 1:45 tomorrow, look for any of these 2 people. Just have Tell them that, oh, I want to have a conversation with you. I want you to share. Give them any topic. You might ask them, oh, how are you faring during this COVID time? Feel free to ask them the question. Then what you're going to do is this. When they finish speaking for that 10 to 15 minutes, you're going to ask them these two questions. When you were speaking, do you feel I was listening to you? If the person says, yes, you were listening to me, tell them, how did you know I was listening? Take a note, write it down. Ask them, why did they know that you were listening to you? And if they say no, tell them that, what did I do that showed that I wasn't really paying close attention to you? So take your note, keep it with you, go back to your online page, share the answers to the question that you got from the field interview that you have gone to. Then the second thing you're going to do is that the 7 active listening skills, there are 7. Study it very well. Now, you're going to tell me that in that place, you're going to share. Yeah, you're going to submit the... No, it's written. It's written. You don't take a video. Please don't do any video. Just write it down. There's going to be on your page. Sharon is going to create where you're going to share. You're going to see where you can share the conversation. So the second thing you're going to do, you're going to share with me how challenging was the assignment for you when you were in the field. Was it easy to use the active listening skills? Remember, you need to study the 7 active listening skills before you go. Study it very well. Then tell me what was difficult for you there. Yeah, the assignment is written. It's going to be a written assignment, no video. Write it down. Then you have way to share on your portal, the portal for this course you're doing. So if there's any of the skill that is challenging for you, mention it there. I will come and interact with you. Then the third part you're going to do, in what way, the next question you're going to answer written is that, in what way do you think active listening can help you as a youth community leader? So in what way do you think active listening can help you as a, look at it, active listening here. They're encouraging, they're eliciting. And so you can see, you get a handout. Don't worry, Shane is going to share the handout with you. You have it. So don't panic. So that's the assignment you are going to do. Then I leave you with this quote. You need to know the people you need to know before you need to know them. So what am I saying is that as you engage with your community, if you don't know them before the day you need them, then you're not doing the right thing. So you need to know the people you need to know before you need them. Don't only go to people because you need them. Go to people because you already know them. And how can you do that? How do you get to know people? Is by using all of these communication skills that we have mentioned. Ensure that you are observing your non-verbals. Become somebody that communicates through dialogic processes. Ask the right question. Become an active listener. Then empathic listening is very important. Understand the concept of inner soup. And if you are somebody that you are not always even aware of your inner soup, and so people see you as somebody that is always hot temper when you go for meetings, when you go for conversation, then you need to change the process. So I think I'm going to stop at that. You're going to have this handout. Feel free to, I will not be able to stay for any question because I will need to run now. Feel free to send me questions. Trust me, I will answer you and I will engage on all of the questions on the group page. But remember that we are practicing the concept of active listening. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for having me. And Shaun, thank you for also having me. I'm sorry that I have to run. So see you guys on the group page. Then we'll continue having the conversation there. Thank you, everyone. God bless you. Bye-bye. Shaun, can you take it over? Yeah. Yes. So sorry,
Thank
I have to run.
Much. Okay,
Thank you, brother. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Briefly, everybody, look at the course page. Okay, let me open it. Can you all see this? How many of you remember this is a course page? This is how it looks. So you come to your conflict certificate and conflict management portal. When you come there, okay, I just click there. Then you enroll for the course. After enrolling for the course, you see the curriculum. And under curriculum, can you see it? Introduction to conflict and conflict analysis, conflict resolution, empathic listening. There is a self-assessment. All those questions that Mr. Gwenga took you through, you can find them here. By midnight, we're going to be uploading the other documents, the course content that Mr. Gwenga just took you through. When you come up, you see the place for the forum. You see Connect Forum. So you click on the forum. It will take you to the place where you're going to be submitting your assignment questions. Most of your questions require you to move around, meet people, interact with them. Then you come and submit your thoughts. So can you see them? So you see the topics. Some of us have already gone there and started raising conversations. Maybe we'll delete other conversations, but uh, I can see a lot of people, about 18 posts have taken place in the last 5 hours today. Wow. You did not even wait for the course to be completed before going online. Okay. Okay. I think this is okay. This conversation in the forum is for the previous session. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be opening up new topics for the conflict management. So by middle of the night, I'm sure that we should be able to upload the topic so all of us can start having a conversation. You know, the question says in the next 24 hours. So we expect you to have done that within 24 hours. So just expect it by tomorrow morning. You should be able to see some of the posts or the items coming up. You're seeing the different topics people have raised and different posts that have been made concerning them. Okay. So I thank you very much, everybody, for your patience, for staying with us up to this time. We have to close now. We are supposed to, our shoot-off time is not supposed to exceed 2:30, and this is 2:30 exactly. So we're going to end our meeting today. If you have any other conversation, anything to ask, any question to raise, feel free to go on the portal on the WhatsApp group and raise them. Then we'll continue from there. I hope you all enjoyed your day. Thank you very much, everyone. Please take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day.